In 2015, the leaders of the countries around the world got together in Paris, France, for the Conference of Parties 21, or as known as COP21, to discuss climate issues and actions. It resulted in the making of what we know as the Paris Agreement. Good day everyone, my name is Khalya Divanugra Kirana from Universitas Indonesia, here to present to you my article which I wrote along with my co-author, Airin Miranda, titled L'Affaire du Siècle's Campaign Strategy in Overseeing the Implementation of Paris Agreement. Paris Agreement made in 2015 was signed by 195 countries and the European Union. It is considered ambitious by aiming to keep global temperature rise below 2 degrees Celsius and seek to limit it to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. It is decided that each signatory party will have their own responsibilities to adapt climate actions into their policies. The global climate improvement target promoted by Paris Agreement impacted the existence of environmental movements and activists such as L'Affaire du Siècle. L'Affaire du Siècle was formed back in 2018 by 4 leading environmental associations in France, including Notre Affaire à tous, Greenpeace France, Oxfam France, and La Fondation pour la Nature et l'Eau. Like any other, this social movement has its own demand. It is to gain recognition from the state's shortcomings in addressing climate issues and orders administrative judges to take all useful actions to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Thus, this research will discuss how the L'Affaire du Siècle's campaign strategy is implemented to achieve the demands of the movement, as well as to oversee the French government's commitment to Paris Agreement. Here are the methods I use. First, I use qualitative method by Hammarberg, Kirkman, and Lacey. Next is theory about key elements of social movement strategy by Meyer and Stegenborg, which talks about demand, arena, and tactic. The second theory is relation between social media use and political protest theory by Valenzuela. According to him, there are 3 goals of using social media for political protests, which are for news, political opinion, and to join causes and mobilize information. The analysis of this research is divided into 2, general strategy of movement and social media utilization. As to general strategy of movement, Meyer and Stegenborg's theory will be used. The demands made by L'Affaire du Siècle is firm and strong, and it is targeted directly at the French government. Through its initial impression, L'Affaire du Siècle has already received the attention of the public because of its bold and real demands. To maintain the consistency of support by the people, L'Affaire du Siècle picked its 2 arenas, which are social media and demonstrations. This will help showcase the people's support towards L'Affaire du Siècle and further foster solidarity. Also to encourage others to participate in ecological activism. Moving on to tactical strategy, L'Affaire du Siècle uses social media campaigns like Témoins du Climat and 5 ans après. These campaigns use opinion-guiding sentences that aim to invite people to join the same goal. Besides that, L'Affaire du Siècle also takes legal action to court to sue the French government for the country's inability to address climate problems and fulfill Paris Agreement commitment. Now moving on to social media utilization part of the analysis, which will use Valenzuela's theory. This is the chart showing 3 main goals of social media use. As can be seen, the majority of Facebook utilization by L'Affaire du Siècle is for news sharing. Here are some posts classified to said goals. The latest news about an issue can be a trigger for some people to move and solve the problem. The more the news that is published related to the same issue, the more visible the government's lack of role is. Next, these 2 examples indicate that in sharing information, L'Affaire du Siècle can do it for 2 main things, namely to announce demonstrations and to meet the target of the movement by involving its supporters. Expressing political opinion is the least used strategy on Facebook. That is because L'Affaire du Siècle's political opinion has been embedded in the inclusion of news stories and demonstrations. The second social media utilization comes from Twitter. This chart is representing the total number of posts for each utilization and is showing that news sharing is still dominantly used on Twitter. However, the retweet feature distinguishes Twitter from other social media platforms. The variety of issues raised by the French journalistic medias also shows the lack of government's intervention and its slow commitment to complying with the implementation of Paris Agreement. As for the second most used strategy on Twitter, here is an example of post for said strategy called Témoins du climat. Even though the local communities have witnessed the effect of climate crisis around them, this has yet to escape the government's scrutiny. Again, political opinion is in the last place of social media utilization on Twitter. This tweet reflects the debate between L'Affaire du Siècle and the government, which has often failed to admit its negligence. Next, in this one, L'Affaire du Siècle indicated the movement's approval of Sébastien Mobile's statement. And now we're looking at the last social media platform used by L'Affaire du Siècle, which is Instagram. This chart shows different proportion of social media use. Here we can see that expressing political opinion turns out to be the main usage of Instagram. The purpose of this photo is to emphasize the importance of the environment through the color green, which is a symbol of urgency of environmental and climate issues. As for news sharing, L'Affaire du Siècle uploads infographic posts instead of news articles. The purpose of uploading this is to inform the followers about the possible lack of use of renewable energy in the future. As a social-ecological movement that was only launched in 2018, L'Affaire du Siècle has had a huge impact on French society. This movement has contributed to educating the French public regarding the urgency of climate through the facts contained in various news stories and testimonies. The L'Affaire du Siècle's campaign has proven to be the most effective and efficient to run through Twitter due to the retweet feature. Environmental problems that continue to be discovered also prove that France, as the host of COP21, has not led to climate improvement and has not produced significant changes in meeting the target of Paris Agreement. Without the joint supervision of the people and the control of the people, the French government will ignore and will not admit its negligence in addressing ecological issues and the Paris Agreement commitment. Thank you so much for your attention.